get it back, they have to put out fines for people who will not return them, they have to send certain items out to be reconditioned, or they have to put in requisitions to, get stuff to replace things that are no longer usable. That job done correctly is a time-consuming job.
And that's a full year.
It's a full year for all the sports.
For every sport.
For every sport. I mean, I remember those guys who used to, do that for me. I mean, I always felt bad. They were in there before my practice started, and they were there after my practices were over. So I know they do a lot. I don't know if I missed anybody else.
Financial manager. The other one that I asked.
The financial manager.
The financial manager.
Because for every school, these two stipends exist, and there's a phenomenal amount of money.
I'm not qualified to answer about the financial manager. I started what, Ron? I started what? Oh, I thought I was supposed to be answering their question.
You were talking.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't answer, please.
And I just want one other question that you brought up about the one person receiving the 3 stipends. That's over a whole year. So when we talk about the music people, whoever that was receiving 3 stipends, that carries over the whole school year.
There's 3 different categories.
But, again, as we begin to look forward into the next school year, that some of these positions may not be there next year, depending on how the budget goes through. So these are all areas that we're going to be looking at. Thank you.
Question, the request for proposal.
That was a question that she brought up.
Yes.
We committed to go into the request for proposal process in December. We will follow that commitment.
But their contract is expiring December.
No, it's not. Their contract is expiring in April.
Why are you putting a proposal when that's the month that their contract is up?
The contract is not up in December. I'm trying to tell you the contract expires in April. We're going to RFP for law firms to represent us in December. That's what we've said all along. Okay, moving on to our agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Chris?
They did it on their own again.
I have 2 questions. Mr. Casio's question was, would we be in this position if the budget passed? I think the answer to that is no. Correct?
We would have been certainly, we would have been $2.65 million better off. Ultimately, what decisions the board would have made with that benefit, we never went down that road.
Okay. Second is, I listened to the students in particular. I do know one thing. We're doing a pretty good job of educating you students, having listened to you. A couple of you I'd like to hire tomorrow, but you're terrific. I don't think I ever heard anybody ever convince Vince Dominion to pay more money for anything. As long as I've worked on for the public. I do have concerns that the way we're approaching this is singling out specific activities from a pure fairness perspective. I don't think there's any easy answer to any of this. I hate not to line up, frankly, shoulder to shoulder with Sean because Sean has guided us through just unbelievable landmines for the last 12 months, and I know the proposals that he made were really a consensus of a focus group and didn't all come from him. But I have some concerns about how we're approaching this. It would seem that the fair and equitable way to do this on a macro basis is to look at it on a gross basis as it relates to all students with a safety net. I would be interested to see what that economic model looked like before we would implement something of significant precedential value. The other thing, I think, the other economic model I would like to look at is whether an assessment, I'm not for cutting freshman sports, but I would also like to see an economic model that looked at whether all freshmen are on a pay-to-play basis. That doesn't mean I'm advocating it. I'm just saying as looking at the number of alternatives. I don't think it would be fair to say all freshman sports pay, because that means, well, if a freshman comes in and he's good enough for varsity, he doesn't pay. That, to me, is just slicing it a different way. And, everyone needs to be treated the same. So I'm not sure what our rush is at this point, given the circumstances that we're in, and whether we should table it for one meeting and have more discussion. If we're in a position where we have no alternatives, then I think that, I think the public all sees that we're struggling hard to do the right thing by all the kids and the parents, and it's a struggle. So I don't know what our alternatives are at this point, given the circumstances that we've been put in. I don't even know whether tabling it for one session will do anything. But I do have some concerns, not to repeat myself, about the general way we're solving the problem. And I'd be interested to hear, frankly, what other board members think about those circumstances. It's rare, by the way, that I come here and have my mind altered during the course of a meeting. But I've been impacted on some of the things that I've heard, and I probably want a little more time to see all the economic models that are in play. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Sounds good. At our last meeting, right after the meeting, I did speak to the public, and there happened to be a few board members from Howell, and Gloria, I believe, is in the back, and I had been an advocate of, instead of eliminating one activity, two activities, it should be across the board. And I said that at the last meeting after our session, just for discussion. And I was hoping that would be brought into the discussions with the committee. I looked at it more, not just sports, not just music, but clubs. Every activity in the district. Anyone that participates has a flat fee.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's try to figure out what sum you can do that could help us get through this year, and then we have a year to discuss if we have to go to pay to play. Because all we're talking about now is cutting that, not to say all, but we're talking about two major areas. And I think if we do this and it goes across the board, we can get through this year, and then we have a year to discuss how we're going to run our next year. And the students are wonderful, and so are the parents. And I was the mother of a musician and an athlete, so I feel we're all of you.
Further comments from anyone? Okay.
No other board members? I think it's ironic, by the way, that we're looking hardest at the program that seems to be the cheapest to run. Thank you.
Yeah.